So the Wesbank modified saloon cars moved to the Zwartkops Raceway just outside Pretoria for the Mazda race day. And this tricky 2-kilometre circuit certainly is going to provide the entertainment. It's a real handful for the most powerful saloon cars in South African motor racing.
I think it's a very busy little track. As you saw with the lap times, it's well under a minute. And I have about 18 to 20 gear changes a lap, so it keeps you busy all the time.
And you get into flat out into top gear?
Yes, funny enough, the straight down here is about as quick as car as Lamy straight, surprisingly so. But another problem, of course, is overtaking. It's very narrow, and I think it's going to be very difficult to get by anybody. If you into the first corner first, I think you've got a good chance of winning the race.
And speeds?
Well, like I said, it's about the same speed as Lamy. I would imagine it's about 240 in that region at the end. Willie's probably a bit quicker down there. But a few dangerous corners. You have to watch it all the time. The one down past the screen is like 3 corners in one. So you have to really set the car up well. And then it goes from that very high-speed corner to a very slow-speed second-gear corner at the hairpin at the beginning of the straight. So there's a bit of everything.
And the four-wheel drive must be a big advantage out these tight corners.
It probably is. The problem is our gearing isn't quite right for the track. So I'm coming off a few corners just off the cam, like at the hairpin. I'm battling a bit to get out of there. But the car's quite nice.
And just to make it more dramatic, the rain arrived as the mighty Wesbank modifieds got underway in the first race over 15 laps. And about 2,500 horsepower arriving at Continental Corner almost carefully, led by Sarel van der Merwe, Willie Hepburn in the Opel, Henny van der Linde in the Nissan, Ben Morgenrud in the Mazda, and trying to squeeze in there is Johan Coetzee in the Skyline. Henny van der Linde starting to slow, Morgenrud nearly hitting him, and we're inside the car with Henny van der Linde, who's slowing at the moment as the others stream past him. System checking there, he's going over his management system, over the electrics, over the fuel injection. What has happened to kill his motor? And as it turned out, his air intake's low down in the front of the motor car. It sucked in water from the cars ahead, and it got into his fuel injection and his electrics, and that was his race run. But it wasn't run for Sarel van der Merwe, the 4-wheel drive Audi Turbo, this whispering wonder car of South African racing, the new sound of South African racing, and leading there the roaring V8 Sabat Caltex Opel of Willie Hepburn just behind him as they power out of Zwartkops and past the start-finish on the first turn. Hepburn is keeping him right in the side, although in the spray. But it's careful driving by van der Merwe. You can so easily fall off the road. Here we are with the Hepburn. This is what it's like from the driving seat in that big V8 Opel record. He powers out of Conti down this long straight, one of the fastest straights in South African motor racing at the moment. Downhill, they'll be touching the brakes, looking for a dry line as they can get as they feed in the power. You can see it snaking down there. It's tricky. There's 3 corners built into one as they start to power up to Bosel Bend. Hepburn right in the picture, keeping the big V8 fans happy, and tucked in behind him, he's got Johan Coetzee. There's Ben Morgenrud in there as well. There's Coetzee in the Class B car. That's for cars up to 3,600 cc's. Keeping in the picture there, non-turbocharged power. Johan, who'd won the championship in 1600 class, right in there. And here we are with Sarel van der Merwe going round the 3-corner section of the course with the shots from the National Super VHS camera. And ahead of him, the slower Class B cars. He's coming up to lap now. And just watch how quickly he works away at that gear change and gets his hand back onto the steering wheel. Round the banked Zwartkops corner with the start-finish in sight, and he starts to really close on that car ahead of him. It'll be onto the brakes now. The road's starting to dry out now. The marshal's giving the blue flag, which indicates there's a man coming up to overtake you. And you can see the battle scars on the Minolta Copier's Alpha V6 GTV of one of the stars. That's what we pick up here. Van der Merwe now getting in amongst the tail enders. This is the tricky part of the race. You can so easily make a mistake. And this, because they're not slow motor cars, as he goes down to the screen section, and the way to do it is normally on the inside, but he's going around the outside. What a piece of driving by van der Merwe. Starts to get back on the power band as he starts to ease. You can see the dry part on the road. They're trying to stay on that as much as possible as he eases it up to Bosel Corner. Back down through the box, and you can see Nico Bianca staying in right there with him. Not often you see a Audi Turbo 4x4 going sideways, but that's what it was doing there as he comes up to the flag to win this race. Sarel van der Merwe, what a win for him as he comes away from Zwartkops to the start finish, and he finishes ahead there of Willie Hepburn in that Sabre Opel, and Ben Morganroot very good in the BP Mazda in third position. Jan could see inspired driving in Class B. And so at last the sun came out, not only to dry the roads, but to get the crowds good and excited for the second of the Wesbank Modifieds at this Mazda race meeting. The man they come to see, Cyril van der Merwe in the Audi, his biggest challenger, Willie Hepburn alongside him, and then behind in the BP Mazda, one of the most determined men in South African motor racing, Ben Morganroot from Randfontein. And we're in the Mazda with him as we come up to the starting flag. Ahead of him, Henny van der Linde, the Turbo Audi, and then Willie Hepburn as they go away, 15 laps ahead of them, and Cyril van der Merwe as expected in the lead, but with an advantage on the inside. Willie Hepburn and the crowds up and cheering. You could hear them above all these noises in South African motor racing, the throbbing V8, the turbocharged cars. Back in the Mazda again as Henny van der Linde starts taking on the Audi that's just above him, ahead of him, and then it's the Opel as they tear down to the screen, and the speed of that Opel is something to behold. The Turbo coming up the inside. We're inside there with Henny van der Linde. Cyril van der Merwe, kamikaze driving, takes him on the inside, and now he's after Willie Hepburn. Back there with Henny van der Linde, keeping right in there with the Audi. And just listen to those noises, the V8, the new whispering giant there of South African motor racing, that Audi Turbo. Then the squeaking of the Nissan 300 ZX, the crackling Mazda just behind him. In with Cyril. There's the Opel really at work now, getting all that power onto the road, much more grip this time on dry roads. But Cyril looking for a place to come through. Now he's got to do it pretty early, 15 laps around this tight 2-kilometre circuit. He's trying, he's getting desperate, trying it on the outside. We're back inside there with Cyril, with this National Super VH camera giving us all those shots. As we go down to the screen, you're doing 240 as they break down through the box. He went down 2 gears there. Into the inside, lets it drift to the outside as he powers it up to Bosel. On go the lights there. Here Willie Hepburn ahead of him. Cyril wants past. He's desperate to get past. He can't leave it too long. He's going for it. He's going across the curb there. But Hepburn just makes his car as wide as he can, and Cyril has to be content. He might have done a bit of body damage, a dangerous thing to do there. But Hepburn certainly has got the horses, Grand Prix type horsepower, as he goes up the short straight and starts braking there for Continental Corner. So right in behind him, just a car length behind. You can see Willie getting into trouble. Now he's starting to get all those horses galloping, 620 of them as he comes out, and van der Merwe looking for a place again. But look at the power. Cyril is battling with the gear change there. As Willie goes away down that hill, they're upwards of over 200, up to 240, down to the screen, onto the brake markers. They just dab the brakes there at 50 metres. Gets it set up around this corner. There's 3 corners and one as they go around the screen. Ease out there to Bosel, down through another gear and start powering it on. Tight into the curb. He's looking for a place to get him again. This is where he lost out the last time. Now he's going down to Zwartkops, the Bank Zwartkops corner. Throwing the driver to the side of the car, and the start-finish flag is in sight there. But we've got laps to go. This is the short start-finish straight. And Hepburn's car has got Cyril tucked in right behind him. This time he's closer. This time he's looking for a way to come through. Let one mistake happen in that corner, and Cyril is going to be through. Looking for the inside. And the power goes on in that V8. There he's going for the inside there, and Willie Hepburn close the door, and they collide. He's onto the dirt again, is Cyril. But he comes from a tough school. He's learnt he's racing the hard way, so is Willie Hepburn. Back with Cyril in the Audi. As they go down the screen, he's going for it. He's gone through the inside. That's another bit of suicide driving, his favourite spot to go through. You've really got to take your heart in your mouth to do that at those speeds. They're approaching that corner 240, getting the Audi sideways, getting the Opel sideways. These two titans of South African motor racing, Henny van der Linde, not too far behind, about 50, 60 metres behind them, and one of the fastest cars in South African motor racing. As Cyril van der Merwe goes through in the front, Willie Hepburn is not finished yet. He's keeping up the pressures. They break down through Conti, down through the box. They're down through 2 gears. And the crowd seeing the Audi in front for the first time in this race, still keeping him in sight there. Henny van der Linde, there he is in the Nissan 300 ZX, that V6. He's not far behind them. Hepburn comes through. Crowd love the sound of that big V8. And there comes Henny van der Linde down the road just behind him, one of the fastest cars in South African motor racing, and certainly one of the best prepared vehicles. Beautiful looking machine. Also battling to get out of these tight corners. You can see how tricky it is as you feed on the power. Sideways for van der Linde. We haven't seen him do that for a long, long time. And that's how close it all is. There's only seconds separating him. And there's the determined Ben Morganroot still in the picture with that rasping, crackling Mazda, always giving the crowd full value for their money, using all the road, never letting up, and keeping on the pressure, and Ben always in the picture. You can always depend on him. And back for more unique shots taken inside this racing Audi with the Springbok Sorrel van der Merwe as he completes 2 wins for the day in the Wesbank modified races. So there's the result. Sorrel van der Merwe in the Audi Turbo gets the double. Willie Hepburn, the Sabre at Caltex Opel, was second both times. Henny van der Linde was third there in the BP Nissan, and Ben Morgenrud fourth in that race, but third overall for the day in the BP Mazda. Great racing at this Mazda race meet.